live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Entrefluential Life podcast. I'm your host, John Tanner.
And I am your co-host, Sebastian Tanner.
And today we have our special friend, Bernhard Schieber, joining us for this special interview live from Spain. Bernhard, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing perfectly fine. And I just saw that I still have my webcam on from the laptop instead of my nice 4K camera. So that's no problem.
Well, that just means that when you're coming in perfectly, okay? But that means that the next time we bring you on to do an interview, we'll have to try it out with the 4K version so we have something to compare to, right?
No,
Yep.
So then I look as good as you guys do, but that's okay. You don't see my wrinkles. That's cool. So I look a little bit younger.
Well, I'm using an iPhone 13, so how about that?
Well, how about bragging? Yes, just rub it in. Cool, yeah.
So Bernhard, I wanted to bring you on. We've known each other for over a year now. We met, I think it was at something live with
Tony Robbins.
With Tony Robbins, right?
Year.
Dane Graziosi, yes. But it wasn't the last one they did. It was 2 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was not this year. It was 2021. Yes.
It was 2020.
2020. Yeah. It's been
Right?
a while. Yeah.
It was 2020. It was in the fall of 2020. Then they just did one in 2021, which I didn't make. It was like around October, November, I think, of 2021.
Yep.
Did you go to that one?
I went to the summit. Yes.
Okay, cool. Very cool. I missed out on that, but
I had my VIP ticket for the summit. It was cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow.
There's so much great content. I love Tony Robbins and I love Dane Graziosi. These guys have really great synergy, and they have so much valuable content that they give out in that 5-day summit. And so we met in one of the group chats, right? And that's how we became friends. And so we've been communicating. We used to talk once a week practically for a long while, and then we just kind of started doing our own different things. But we've stayed in touch, and I'm so glad that you're coming on here because Bernhard is an amazing coach. He has great wisdom. He shares so much information. He shares it from the heart. He's a giver. He just shares from the heart, and I love that about him. And so I'm really honored to have you on the show. And I'm gonna let you go where you want with, but I will give a little bit of guidance and just say that because I can ask generic questions, but I think it's just too blasé. I'd rather just let's have a dialogue from the heart, and with the training wheels or the guideposts of the audience that we're reaching here are entrepreneurs. Now they may be seasoned people, professionals that are coming out of the workforce that are like our age group. Let's say that they retired or semi-retired, and they're looking to maybe do their own thing, right? They're becoming an entrepreneur for the first time in their life. They're leaving corporate America, or maybe they're Sebastian's age, right? They're 21, they're fresh out of high school or fresh out of college, or maybe they tried college and it didn't work for them, or a trade school, and they're going to do something. They're going to become their own boss. They want to be an entrepreneur. They want to be their own boss. So that's our two different categories of people that we strive to appeal to. And so with that being the framework, that's who we're talking to. That's our audience. I would love for you to speak to them about how important coaching and consulting and counseling is in that framework, how it can be beneficial to them as seeking different mentors, because not one, but we need multiple different mentors, right? To guide us in the right direction, physically, mentally. What we do in our show is we talk about physical, mental, spiritual, and we talk about entrepreneurship skills. So that's the framework.
That's perfect. I can cover them all. I've walked the path. I've been there multi times. I started businesses in different countries several times. I've worked for corporate, not just corporate America, but corporate world, all over the world, different areas of expertise, different areas of work. And yes, mentorship coaching is a big yes. And it's not a question if they can afford it. It's a question that they cannot afford not to. So
that's great.
If I look back at my own life right now, it's like, you look back and I say, I have kids, Sebastian's age, and we're running through those protocols as well. One of them is doing psychology. He's at university, and the other one is doing something sports oriented. So yes, mentorship. When I met my first coaches and mentors when I was in a swimming team and playing handball in the German youth juvenile league. Then stepped on while I was in the Marine Corps. Yeah, everybody says, yeah, you don't have coaches, you don't have mentors, you only have instructors. Yes, part of it. In boot camp, you only have drill instructors. They yell at you all the time. They get the best out of you. But then once you join I'd say the rather more elite or special units. I was an amphibious reconnaissance Marine for 4 years, combat diver, recon diver, explosives, sniper.
Wow.
Did some wild stuff back then. And yes, there you have very tough instructors, but you also have extremely good coaches and mentors. And that means there's a huge difference between an instructor, a coach, a mentor, and if we turn the wheel a little bit more, a counselor. So those are figures that are, I think, for anybody that wants to go into entrepreneurship, they're a must. You can't afford not to because you don't have the time. Depending on what age you are. If you're Sebastian's age, that's cool. You still have your whole life ahead of you and you want to eat the world. But you look at somebody like John or you look at somebody like me, that's 40 years of advantage. 40 years making mistakes that if you only listen to our mistakes, you won't make those mistakes. So that will save you a lot of money, big time, and also a lot of time. Now, if we look at somebody our age that is getting out of corporate America and is wanting to start, he wants to start a business, it's a complete different ballgame. It's a lot of them fail, not because they're not capable, not because they don't have the skills, but they're spoiled. In a way, like when you're in the military, for example, when I worked behind enemy lines, and may I say when shit hit the fan, you called in for an airstrike, you called in for air support, you called in naval artillery. You had the big guns behind you. You don't have them with you. You call them in. But when you're on your own, when you're an entrepreneur, you can't call an airstrike because Uncle Sam won't be there. You can't rely on all the departments that you used to have when you were working corporate. You can't call in, and I think that's one of the biggest surprises that they have when they retire from corporate world with 40 or 50 years, and then they want to make their own business. There's a lot of favors that you can't call in anymore because you're no longer the big shot in corporate America. You're just somebody else, somebody that's trying to make a living. And this is very hard. And I've lived that. My mother's husband was a very high executive officer within the Bayer, chemicals buyer worldwide. When he retired, before he retired, he was king because he was one of the top 10 of Bayer worldwide. When he retired, he was just another retiree.
Yep.
Wow. So he was one of my business mentors, strategically, business development and all that. But it had also a great disadvantage because he had the big money, the pharma money behind his back. So when he called in and said, guys, we need another 100 million to develop this market, they would give it to them. If you as an individual entrepreneur, if you need 100 grand, you have to put up your house for it.
Right.
If you have a house.
Yeah.
If you don't have a house, what do you have? They're not going to give you something for your skills. So you better have your business plan. You better have your shit together. Otherwise, it's going to be really, really tough. And that's when a good mentor and a good coach can really help you out.
Yeah, so they get spoiled because they had all of these resources available to them, and
Yes.
as a foundling entrepreneur, you've got to be very creative and resourceful because you don't have the resources, right?
Yes.
So having mentors, guides, coaches can help you level up, right? So you can borrow the wisdom from them and figure out a way, right? Being resourceful,
Exactly.
figure out a way to get the job done that you're trying to, or at least get the precursor steps done so that you can take, build up to that level where you can step up and grow your business, right?
Exactly. And John, one of the major things is when I used to get hired by corporations as an external expert for certain things. So the thing is, most of these executives that are now going into entrepreneurship, they're used to hiring experts.
Right.
From the corporate side. But they're reluctant to hire them for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that they have to learn, because even though they've managed thousands of people or hundreds of millions, it's a complete different ballgame.
So let's say, for instance, that you're 65, for instance, right? Let's say, or even 25. Okay, it's just a different. You're different. Your pathways are going to be very different if you're 25 and you're 65. Your decisions are going to be very different because you can be more risky at 25 than you can with 65, right? But at the end of the day,
you have to.
But at the end of the day, when you're making these decisions and you're in a different place when you're 25 and you're 65, because at least at 65. You may be drawing Social Security, so you have a baseline. And if you have some kind of a pension from your career of your 65 years, let's say 40 of those were working years, 45 of those were working years, you probably have some funds, some resources to cover your base, right? Your house, your car payments, all those things. Whereas a 21-year-old doesn't have any of that, right? Not necessarily. Some of them do, but most of them don't. Right.
Most of them don't have a plan. Yeah.
So
that's the thing. I mean, you don't have the plan, but you also don't carry the dead weight. If I look back now, I pay mortgage. I have to pay the mortgage on my house. I have to pay university for my kids. I have to pay 2 cars. There's a lot of things that I carry that I didn't when I started. So that's, it's like when I started, I said, wow, man, the world is mine. What do I have to pay? I have to pay rent. That's about it.
Yeah, right.
That's about it. I have to pay rent and I can work 20, 24 hours a day. There's been weeks that I barely slept when I was young. I can't do that anymore.
Yeah, your body won't allow you to do that anymore.
I don't have to anymore either. But, that's, I think that's where I had a workshop about the SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Love that. Yeah.
I did that on last Monday with people from all walks of life and different ages, but I applied it in a different way. And I said, it's for the first time in their life. They've heard the SWOT. They've run the routine several times, but for the first time in their life, they understood that what is at a certain point in your life, a strength becomes a weakness, can turn into a weakness. What once was a threat can turn into an opportunity and vice versa. So it's not dogmatic. It's about where you focus, where that weakness of yours can be a strength. Put it to work there.
And I love that. That's really cool, because the world is changing around us, right? Our physical bodies are changing, right, as we age, right? Where we stand today is not where we're going to be standing in 10 years from now or where we stood 20 years ago. And so the SWOT analysis, I love that. It is dynamic. It's not static. Yeah. So look at it and make your pivots, your movements, right?
Yes.
Accordingly. I love that. But the whole thing is consciousness. SWOT, doing the assessment itself is consciousness, right? Are you in the present? Are you living in the present? Live in the present. Live in the present. Always live in the present. Always be
work for the
observant.
future. Yes, live in the present, but work in the future, because if you only live in the present, you only set short-term goals. And short-term goals won't get you nowhere. They won't get you as far. So that means, like when we say in sniper school, one eye always on the target, and the other eye is watching the environment,
The
because you have to
perimeter. Okay.
move.
Nice.
You have
I love
to
that.
adapt. And regarding, excuse me, John, regarding that environment and regarding that change, most people still argue or still align their strategies according to a VUCA environment: volatile, uncertain. What was the C for? Complex and ambiguous. But that was pre-pandemic. Before we went into the pandemic, we already entered a BANI environment. And BANI stands for brittle, not fragile. It's brittle. Something that's fragile is a glass, for example, a cup of glass. You can hold it, and if you put a lot of pressure on it, it will break. Brittle is something that if you touch it, it might just fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
So that's for BANI, a BANI environment. Brittle, anxious. It's no longer ambiguous. It's anxious, anxiety, short term, quick, fast, now, no plan. Non-linear. So far, if you look back in history, there's been predictable development. It's no longer. And what worries me most is the I for BANI. That's incomprehensible. That means that a lot of things that we learned cannot be applied anymore because it's obsolete. So we need to find new paradigms to understand what's happening, because the old stuff won't work anymore. And we see that. But the thing is, we don't understand what we see because it doesn't obey the laws that applied 20, 15, 30 years ago. And that's what's being taught right now in school. It's what was useful 20 years ago. So
interesting. That's interesting. I love everything that you said. I do think that history repeats itself, though, and I think at a base minimum, we can always look at history and say, where's the curve? Where's the repetition going to happen? Because it seems like there's like the pulse, right? It comes up and down, and it goes, here's 30 years, the jean jacket's coming back again, right? 30 years, the bell bottom is coming back again, right? Okay, right? Neo, there's a like the steampunk culture is neo-Victorian, but in futuristic. So we've got the Victorian era coming back again. So there is some patterns, and I think history is a teacher in that regard. So yeah, the incomprehensible part is very applicable to technology. You know, the Atari system is outdated. Now there's the Xbox, and who knows what's going to be popular in 5 years from now. It'll be some kind of variation of reality TV, metaverse stuff, 3D, you know what I mean?
But see, it goes beyond that. It's like, you know, the black swan theory, the ripple effect, that something happens that interrupts the prior patterns, and they don't repeat themselves anymore. So it's like an interruption, and then it's a reset. Something new happens before we can develop new patterns. And that's what is happening right now. If you look knowledge, for example, 20 years ago, 40 years ago, it took 40, 50 to 100 years for knowledge, for what we understand as knowledge, to double. That is down to 5, 10 years. Product cycles. The product cycles used to be longer cycles. Now it's like continuously. It's continuously. So that's what is worrying right now, because if we rely on those patterns, we're doomed. Because some will repeat themselves, like with fashion. Some are always evergreens; they always come back.
Right.
But some are not. So now we're called to analyze and to pick what is really essential, because that will not change. And those are certain things within human nature. If you look at in the Industrial Revolution, 200 and something years now since the first revolution, we're arguing if we're in the fourth, third, or some we say we're already in the fifth. yes, there's been a lot of evolution, but mankind, our brain and our body, it's been thousands of years without any significant development. And if you focus on that, there is where you find the pattern. There is where you find those wheels that keep turning and come back, come back, come back, come back. And that is the answer for what we don't understand right now.
Okay, that's great. So you can fall back on that for a baseline. Okay, we have our human anatomy, we have our life, or we have family values. Those things are always going to be valuable, except that I think that family values has taken a dip. People don't appreciate family values like they used to 50 years ago. And we need to bring it back, I think. But that's a whole different story for another time. So going back to working as an entrepreneur, like, we see that there's importance in having coaching, and it can help us as a guide, right? Based on what we've been talking about and how there's so much changes and the changes are rapid. We do have, you still have to have long-term plans, right? You said keep your eye on your target. So you start with your long-term plans, and then you start shrinking back. Like, let's say you have a 30-year life plan, then you go back to 10 years. What do you need to do in the next 10 years to get to that 30-year goal? What do you need to do in the next 5 years to get to that 10-year goal? What do you need to do in the next 1 to 3 years to get to the 5-year goal, right? And then it scales down to, what are you doing for the next 5 days, right? It really breaks down to that way.
Exactly. But in order to find out what you have to do for the next 5 days, yes, you have to travel in time, 1 year, 2, 3, 5, 30 years. But the most important thing, and that's where most people don't get the answer, is they look from now projecting to 30 years. And the only thing that will work is if you go 30 years away from now, and then you look back, and then you say, what do I have to have accomplished? Not what do I need to accomplish. It makes a huge difference, because then you walk back and you see the milestones that are necessary for you in 5 years from now. It's not say, what do I need to achieve within the next 5 years? No, it's like, what do I have to have achieved by the end of these 5 years? And that will bring you so damn close to what you actually need, that the changing environment, if you set your priorities right, and if you set your goals right, it will get you there, because you will be adapting to whatever is taking place around you.
Right. So you have your plans locked down. You reverse engineer your life, right? I like thinking of it as reverse engineering.
Yes.
You reverse engineer your life, and then you take on 2 resources to help you in your trajectory. Number one is, like we talked about, the SWOT analysis, is the awareness, looking at the environment and seeing what's changing. So because you're going to have to make changes, because the wind is going to blow you in a different direction, and you've got to reset your course to get back on track. The second thing that is beneficial for you is talking to counselors, right?
Yes.
Because the counselors can tell you, hey, your plan is good, but this is what I have done in the past, and this is what you should be doing here, and this is what's working right now. We've seen this happen before. Here's where you can make some adjustments, right? I mean, that's what
Exactly.
that's where the guides come in, yeah?
It's so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
So you don't have to reinvent or make the same mistakes that other people have made,
It's
right?
the same mistake, the same mistakes. You will try the same approaches that we've done.
Yes, exactly.
Because we've been there.
But with modifications, because we can
take advantage of that knowledge.
100%. 100%. Whether you're our age or Sebastian's age, right? The information is going to be valuable based on what you need to accomplish your goals. And so, speaking of goals, and going back into like our structure,
yes,
we talk about physical, mental, spiritual, and then entrefluential business goals. What would you speak to, like, for somebody who's just getting started, right? And we have the 2 different avatars, right? We've got the senior avatar, the midlife crisis change avatar, right? And then we have the young person avatar. So looking at what physical kind of guidance should each of those 2 avatars be looking for in their path, their journey, this new journey that they're on to become an entrepreneur? As far as like mentorship and coaching, what kind of guidance should they be seeking for the physical side of their life, right? Because we have to feed our physical, our mental, our spiritual, right? And then the entrepreneurship stuff comes in for, hey, that's how we're making money. We're putting bread on the table.
I think if when you're young, mess up fast, mess up big, and get it over with. Yeah, because
get it out of your system.
Yes, you'll pay a lower price if you screw up. It's like gone. I mean, check the box, take the lesson, and keep walking. Settle. Get your first real small success, because that will build up your confidence. Small steps, small achievements. And if you make a mistake, we used to say in sniper school, aim small, fail small. It goes completely against what the people say. Right. Aim big. Bullshit. Aim big, fail big. Aim small, fail small. It's like, if I have to hit a target right here, I might miss. Yeah, I'll hit him in the eye. I'll still kill him. Right. So, but if I only, then I say aim, center, mass. There's a lot of things that you can apply to the entrepreneurship. It's secure the shot. Aim small, and your mistake will be small. Walk. If I stay with the military, walk in the shots. When you shoot with an automatic weapon at night, or when you don't see where the bullets hit, you walk the fire in. You see where the bullets impact, and then you walk it in. You aim center mass. You go for the secure, not the safe, the secure, and then you gain confidence. You gain skills, and that will also hone in your skills. And then you'll go for that right between the eyes, and you'll hit it right where you want it. And that counts. And that counts better for the younger because they're more impulsive.
Right.
They're more passionate. They're more, I'm not going to say brutal, but they have more energy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that means that you have to take advantage of that energy and channelize it. Mm-hmm. Make precise use of that tremendous force, and then you'll outplay all the oldsters because they lack the energy. They also lack, and that's something that comes with awareness and with knowledge. You become more aware of the risks. You become more aware of the pain, and you're aware of a lot of mistakes. And in life, and especially entrepreneurship, there is also luck, not destiny. It's probabilities. Mm-hmm. It's like, he failed 99 times, and then he continued, and he got it. And that's something that you can take advantage because you have the energy.
I like what Mark Twain is quoted for saying, right, or credited for saying, rather, that luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Yes. So the more well prepared you are when an opportunity presents itself, you got lucky because you were very well prepared for the situation.
Proper planning prevents piss poor performance, and if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail.
Yep. All right, and so. Go ahead, Sebastian.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, because I'm 21, so I'm speaking from the younger entrepreneur mindset. So what I'm hearing from you is being the younger entrepreneur, mess up as many times as you want to try and keep trying again and get the mistakes out of the way. And we have to direct all of our energy towards whatever it is we're doing. We have more energy. We can sleep less. We don't need as much sleep because we're younger. We have more energy to do it. But I hear the big thing that sticks out to me is to set the small goals, because I'm not as far off as you two are mentally. I don't know everything that you guys know, but I'm also from a younger generation where some things have changed. So I do know a couple things that you guys might not know. So it's good, like you said, to have the different mentors and counselors. And so I can take the information from them and use what I have for the new generation. But it's important to set the small goals for someone like myself, because then it's going to make me more confident. Like if I set one small goal with my business and I accomplish that, then I can set another small goal. and I can just keep doing that, and then it
Small
makes you
wins.
small
Exactly.
wins, and then
Small wins
keep
lead to
getting
big
more
victories.
experience. Exactly.
Exactly. They stack up, and there's one marvelous thing about mistakes. You learn a lot more
Mm-hmm.
when you
Yes.
screw up
Yep.
than when you succeed.
Yep.
Right.
That teaches you a lot more. And if you have those lessons at the beginning,
Yeah. And if you can get
It's much better.
laser focused, you'll
Yes.
accomplish them more quicker. You'll get
Exactly.
a lot more wins faster if you just get really laser focused on small goals, getting them done one at a time.
exactly. Because if you look at entrepreneurship or business, I'm not going to say play with money, but it's sort of it. It's like, look at it as a ball game. When you start playing, you're not as precise. You're not
Right.
as good. So you have to make the mistakes, and those
You're gonna
mistakes
mess
will
up,
teach you.
yeah.
You will become agile with your thoughts, with your decisions. Decision making is something that you can learn. But if you
Right.
don't apply that knowledge, it's like shooting. You can read a book about shooting. Yes, we're all sharpshooters in the book. Yeah, now take the rifle and go to the range and start wasting
how that works
bullets
out.
until you
See the
hit.
difference.
So,
you
and
gotta-
it's exactly the
You
same.
need
It's
to
like,
physically do it.
see, I have when I coach people for sales calls and everything, I said, yep, pick the roster. Never go for your dream clients. Practice with those clients where you don't care if they sign or not,
Yep.
because
Yep.
you'll
Right.
make mistakes.
Yeah.
And you'll
Get 'em out of
burn
the way.
those bridges. You'll burn those good clients. You'll burn those good opportunities. Burn the bad ones.
Burn the bad ones
right.
first. Yep.
Do it,
Start with
do
the
it
ones you
as
don't
an
really care to lose.
exercise.
Yep.
It's like train
Right.
to
That's
fail.
great. Yep.
Go after the small fish first, and then once you have the experience, then you can go after
Then you
the
can go
big
for the big
fish,
ones.
because then you don't have to
Exactly.
worry about losing it.
Exactly.
You'll
Everybody's
be
going
sharp.
to go. Everybody's going after the big fish. Everybody's going
Yeah.
after big money. They want, but they're not.
Yeah.
They're not there yet. It's
Okay.
like when you train people, everybody wants to know the deadly, kill hits, or
Mhm.
Right.
I said, no.
Right.
Learn to defend yourself first,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
and then you learn the deadly blows. Everybody wants. It's like my friend. I have a very good friend of mine, intimate friend of mine, was the commanding officer of the European Top Gun, the fighter pilot school, TLP, Tactical Leadership Command. And he said always, and that's something I remember from my time in the Marine Corps. It's like when you want to fly, go bombers. Everybody wants to go jets. Go bombers. You'll be flying all the time, and then you have the flight hours, and then you
Right.
fly the jets. And he said the same thing. It's like get miles, get hours, get flight hours, no matter what. And
That's
with business, it's the same.
okay. So, go ahead, Sebastian.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, what would be your advice for somebody who's, again, midlife now, the second avatar, the upper age persons? What would you tell them when they're just getting started? Like, what's the physicality of it if they're starting off in their entrepreneurship?
It's like the same. Take the SWOT, turn it around. Don't focus on your weaknesses. See what can you make? How can you turn that weakness into a strength of yours? Don't compare yourself to others. It's like face the facts. Say, okay, this can be a weakness. For example, my age, the digital world. I hated it. That was a weakness and a threat. So I said, okay, what can I do to overcome that? I have to learn, and I have to ask, and I hire younger mentors and coaches to coach me in digital media, to make the gap, to shorten the gap, to get the knowledge as precise for my application as possible. I don't want to be a master in social media. I don't need to.
Yeah, no, you can outsource it.
And I don't need it, but I need to know certain things so that I can defend myself on social media and then work on that. So that's what I would say to somebody like in their mid-40s. It's like you're in between the worlds. You're not a real senior yet, and you're no longer a junior. So that is a unique position where you can take advantage of those both sides. It's like turn that around and don't just focus on what you think are your strengths, because then you become cocky. And that's the worst age. At 30 something, 40 something, people are cocky, extremely cocky.
That's true. That's a weakness. That's definitely a weakness. Yeah,
it is, because they're too cocky for senior clients, and they're not senior enough for the younger clients. So taking advantage of that, you can become an ally of the senior clients, and you become an ally of the junior clients. That's your opportunity. That's where you turn that weakness into your strength.
I love it. That's great for this second avatar, for that age group. Okay, so what about mental, like my mindset? What advice would you give for the two avatars? We'll start with the young avatar for mindset. Like, what do they need to start with to, and practice on a I would say daily basis?
For the younger ones, yes, go ahead, please.
I don't want to cut you off, but just for your explanation, I think, what would you say for someone like my age? How do they shift their mindset from being lazy, unproductive, not wanting to work? Because that's usually the people that are my age. I'm not really friends with too many people my age. I like being with friends with older people because they already have their stuff together and they're not lazy. They're working. They have a career. Most people my age, they're on the game all day long. So I think, my dad's question is to you, if you could elaborate on how does a young person shift out of the lazy, the young mindset? How do they get to the business mindset? How do they get to the proactive, getting things done?
I can share the example of my two sons. One is 22 and the other one just turned 20 2 days ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know that. It's like Netflix all the time, watching series, being on the play all the time, hanging out with the guys and the girls. So the thing is, find one thing. It doesn't matter if it's sports, if it's martial arts, if it's walking, if it's cooking. Find one thing that really inspires you, that really drives you to excellence. One thing that you want to learn more about, one thing that you want to excel. Learn what makes you excel in that area and apply that to the other things. And you'll see, it's like we humans are habit animals. I mean, we're habit driven.
Yeah.
We're pattern filled with patterns. So you cannot erase an old habit. It's very hard to do, but you can take advantage of something that you really like and say, how can I apply this to this that I don't like? Usually what we don't like is we dislike because we're not good at it. And we like the things that we're good at it.
That we're good at, yeah.
So if you change that around and say, okay, if I can't find a way to become better at something that I don't like, I might not fall in love with it, but I will dislike it less.
Yeah.
And the less I dislike it, the better I'll get at it.
Right.
And the better I get at it, the more I will like it. And the more I like it, the more I will do it. So it's just that shift. In teaching, they call that significant learning. When you can apply a lesson or something learned in a different area, and you can apply it to something else, that's significant. And that will help you. And that's what you can extract. For example, what's your hobby? What do you like the most?
Me, right now, I like the gym the most.
Okay, so that's physical.
Yeah.
That's physical. That's working out. Okay, what do you like about the gym?
I like that I can do what I want to do when I'm there. I don't have anyone telling me, go do this, go do that. When I go to the gym, I get to follow the routine how I want to follow the routine. I get to do as many sets as I want to do. If I want to
Good.
take a break, I'm in control. That's what I like about it.
So,
And it's
and
relaxing.
that attitude, that thought, that chain of thought, is that what you have to apply to your other world? You're always in control. You have to find your own rhythm. We all have different rhythms. I'm a night owl. I mean, I can stay up at late. Your dad gets up at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock. He gets up when I go to sleep. So that means that you have to adapt your targets, your objectives, your goals to your capabilities. We go back to that SWOT. What do I like? Okay, I like blah, blah, blah. So that means, for me, for example, it means that I will never be able to do intellectual work early in the morning. I can do it at 3 o'clock at night, but never at 6 o'clock.
Right.
So if I can switch that around, then I say, well, okay, cool. I'll go to 11 p.m. So that once was a weakness.
Turned into a strength.
I look at the opportunity. 6 o'clock is a threat. But 11 o'clock is an opportunity. Whoa, we go to here. And that's where you find that by, like your dad said, reverse engineer what you like about going to the gym and try to apply it to a different scenario.
Hey, Bernhard, we have a question that came into the comments. It's what's a tactical way to get over social anxiety?
First, we have to know what is the problem with the social anxiety. Is it fear, lack of acceptance, fear of not being accepted, or is it because I am not sure about myself? Is it because I'm not sure, I'm not firm? Okay, is it because I need the validation of others?
So the first step is to analyze what's causing the anxiety, the social anxiety.
Exactly. It's validate yourself, validate those feelings and face them. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid of them. Look them in the eye and say, okay, cool. Yeah, I have social anxiety, but why do I have it? Is it with known people or is it with unknown people? Is it in a certain setting, certain scenario, or is it general? If it's general, most of the times it's also rooted because I'm not comfortable with myself. And when I'm not comfortable with myself, then I said, okay, why am I uncomfortable with myself? Am I overweight? Am I not as eloquent as other people? Accept it, commit to change it. Once you accept, for example, it works with people that are overweight, or it's my case. Let's say my case. I used to be in great shape. I used to run a lot. I used to swim a lot. I used to be in excellent shape. Now I'm almost 60, and it's like my memory in my mind. I can still run a lot, and I can still do it, but I can't anymore. But that's something that I have to accept.
Yeah.
That if I want to get back in shape, it won't take me 2, 3, 4 weeks like it used to 20 years ago. It will take me a lot longer. If I want to go up again to 500 push-ups, I have to start with 5. And it will take me a while. And it can be frustrating. But if you know that it's going to be frustrating beforehand, you already know it. So it's not going to be as frustrating anymore because okay, fine. I'll stick with 5, 10 push-ups for a couple of days. Then all of a sudden I'll do 15, 20, then it's back 25, then it's 50, then it's foot up on the table and pump. That's it.
Yeah, I think it's important to embrace the discomfort because you know it's temporary.
Yes, it's once you accept it. There's a saying about it was Carl Gustav Jung. It was Jung. What we resist persists. What we embrace transcends. So if we resist to accept that, it will always nag and bother us. Mm-hmm. It will always be there. Once I used to be overweight when I was an adolescent. And I said, "Yeah, you whale, you fat." Said once before I accepted it, it hurt a lot. Once I accepted it, it didn't hurt anymore because I knew it. because I accepted it. And then I said, cool, okay, yeah, I am 40 pounds overweight. Now, what am I going to do with that?
Absolutely.
I can't lose 40 pounds in a healthy way in 10 days.
No.
But I can lose 1-2 pounds per week in a healthy way.
Yep, one step at a time.
So it's one step at a time. And then it's like, yeah, not tomorrow, but in 20 weeks, 20 times 2, 20 pounds are gone. With almost no effort, with almost no suffering, just discipline and consequence. If I wanted to lose that weight in less time, because I don't want to buy a new suit, so yeah, I have an incentive to lose that weight faster. Well, then I'll go jog, I'll go walk, I'll increase my calorie output so I can lose a little bit more weight in less time. That's it.
Yeah.
All right, so Bernhard.
Yep.
So my takeaways, my two big major takeaways for that part, for the young avatar, for the young person, for mindset, is learn what it is that inspires you, and then apply that to everything in your life. And the second thing is apply significant learning as you make your progress, right? Apply significant learning. Okay, so I like that significant learning, smart learning, I think they coincide together. So what about for the older avatar? Would you offer the same advice to older people like my age, or do you have something different that you would add to them?
Something similar, but we have to be careful. It's like we are aware that we have less time. That's the problem when you're 40. When you're 40, you look back and you said, yeah, it was yesterday. I was 20. So that seems like very, very, very close.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah, tell me about it. But then you look forward into the future and I say, wow, that means in 20 years, I'll be 60. And with 60, I'm an old man. And that's tomorrow. And then it's like, it gets scary. So that's something that I would recommend a 40-year-old. Forget about the age. Add another 20 years. Don't think in terms of 60. Think in terms of
80.
70, 80.
Okay.
Because otherwise, he'll be more anxious, more stressed. He'll feel anxiety because time is running out. And that's the main difference between the perspective of a 20-year-old and a perspective of a 40 or 50-year-old.
Wow.
The 20-year-old has not reached his midlife. So that means that he's got more to live than he's lived. The 40-year-old is facing the fact that he has less to live than he has already lived.
Wow. So it's time.
It's a time perception. That's why when you're younger, you think you have all the time in the world, because you actually do. When you grow older, it's like you become aware that you don't have all the time in the world. It's like when you look at the sand clock. At the beginning, it's like, I have lots of time. And then sand stops, and all of a sudden you realize, whoops, it's almost gone. And that's what happens with 40 or 50. It's like you realize, and the thing is, once you change that chip, that age chip, it disappears.
You know,
I love that. That's great advice.
John Travolta said in an interview, I don't know how long ago it was, but he was talking about exactly this. And his son, he was talking about how, I think he was worrying about something like, oh, the last 10, 20 years have gone by in the blink of an eye. It feels like it was just yesterday. He wants to be alive for his son, to grow up in school, college, everything like that. And he was a little bit worried about getting older, John Travolta. And his son looked at him and said something like, Dad, like, did 10 years, something like, did 10 years feel like it was that close away? Something along the lines of like, it seems like it was just yesterday he was in his 20s. But I forgot how he worded it, but the kid worded it in a way that he was like, Dad, to John Travolta, he said, Dad, don't you think you have at least another 10 years in you? And that's like, there's still the way that he looked at it. He made his dad, John Travolta, he made him see that even just those 10 years, he still has time. Like he changed his perspective. He's like, well, don't you have at least another 10 years in you? And that's plenty of time, right? You can't see when you're looking ahead. It's all about like the perspective.
It's even if you only have 1 year. It's like people asked me last year when I came back and reinvented myself, and they said, "Bernhard, are you crazy? With 59?" I said, "Why? Why not?" It's like, who cares? I don't know if I'm going to be alive in 5 years or 10 years or 3 days, or if tomorrow maybe I'll have a heart attack or I'll get run over by a truck. I don't know. So what I do is, yes, I live, and then we come back to what you said at the beginning, John. I live my day by day, and I love it. But I have some objectives, mid and long term. Not as long term as my son right now, but when I told Frank, he's 22, and I said, do this exercise for me. Travel in the future to where you are 80 years old or 86, like his grandmother when she passed away. It's like, think, where do you want to be when you're a granddad? Right before you die. And he couldn't imagine that. Then I said, well, okay, cool. That's a bit too far. How about 60? And he said, 60, wow, that's when you retire. That's when you're an old man. And I said, look at me. He said, no, Dad, but you're different. I said, no. You can relate to that. Where do you want to be when you're your dad's age? What do you want to have accomplished by then?
Yeah.
And that will give you some insight on what road to take, what goals to set, what to aim at. It's like, where do you want to be? Yeah. And that's something that our parents couldn't do because their mentality was different.
Right.
Society was different. And that's where it's like, we're not like our parents and you're not like us. But you can take a look at your dad and say, man, yeah, what can I do? And then so you take your dad, you invite him, and you get him drunk. No, I'm just kidding. You talk to him and you say, Dad, where do you want it to be when you were my age? And why aren't you there? This is going to be a very tough conversation. I had that with my kids. And then you'll find some mistakes and some virtues, some defects that you said, I can deal with that. And then you'll find some virtues, and then you'll set your path, your way, because with that target in mind, when you're your dad's age, you still have 20 years in to go.
Right. I think we have another question in the chat, actually.
We do. You want to read it?
Yeah. So it's the same person, and they asked, is it better to be a jack of all trades or a master of one? As a young entrepreneur, I want to try a lot.
Cool. There's basically all kinds of different people. I have a brother, an older brother. He's an expert. He's a specialist. He's an aeronautical engineer.
Wow.
I'm a jack of all trades. There's virtue and there's a defect in it. We need people that are specialists, but we also need people, especially when you're becoming an entrepreneur, a young entrepreneur, you need a lot of skills. You need a lot of different knowledge areas because you have to apply them.
Right.
And then you find out. I had a postgraduate in complex thinking and complex science.
Wow.
Where they work on the not disciplinary, not interdisciplinary, but transdisciplinary. That means there are certain things in life that you need a wider, greater picture.
Right.
There's other jobs where you have to be, that one code expert for this one single thing. You have to, if you're that type, so that's enough. We go back to the SWOT, strength, weakness. If I am somebody that I get so hyped about this one fish that has this specific, and then you'll be the number one expert on that fish.
Yes.
Perfect. But if you like the fish, and then you like the boats, and then you like the weed, and then you like this, and then you like that, it's like, what area of work, what line of work, what kind of business can I have, or what kind of work can I do where all this fits in? Because you will never be happy in a single discipline, no matter what.
So do you think for the person, because it seems like they're around the age group that I'm in, being a young entrepreneur, based off what you said, do you think it's good to become a master of one thing first, and then you can start learning other things?
Yeah, just be who you are.
Think about a funnel. Think as a funnel. Work your way, try. All of a sudden, this is what I like.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So instead of wasting a year or 2 or 3 when you don't know yet, see, my brother, he knew right away what he wanted to do. I didn't. I was torn between journalism, photography, graphic design, all kinds of things.
Yeah.
I said, no, I can't. I'm not ready. That's another thing. I'm not ready to focus yet. Mm-hmm. So I played around. And then I found something. There's a lot of people right now in this world, in that age group that John mentioned, 30, 40, that specialized too soon. And they're frustrated. And they're unrealized talents. They have never, and then they become they get this crisis that now I want to go with a rucksack around the world. Yeah, but you have a wife, you have some kids, you have to pay for bills, and then all of a sudden you want to be a hippie. Sorry, wrong time, wrong timing. Do it now. If your heart doesn't beat for being an engineer or for being programmer or don't do it.
I would add one more thing to it. I think that you can put layers, like chapters in a book. You can put layers of careers that feed off of each other and benefit each other. So you may do one thing for 5 or 10 years that will be helpful in guiding you into preparing yourself for the next 10 years, and then you could shift gears and put the second hat on, and then do the next thing for the next 5 or 10 years, and the next thing. And so you can have in your story, it's like putting a bunch of pieces of a puzzle together. At the end of the day, you step back and you look at the puzzle, and it's beautiful, but it's comprised of a bunch of different little pieces.
Yes.
So be that.
And sometimes the problem is lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
How can I know if engineering is something for me? Try it out.
If you don't try it, exactly.
Yep. Try it. Don't bet your ass on it. It's like, I'm not sure if I'm going to like it. Yeah, well, I just took out a loan, and I'm on my way to MIT.
That's not the right way to do that. Yeah.
And then after a year and 150 grand in, you said, I guess it was a wrong choice. That choice just cost you $150,000.
Yeah, don't put your head on the ground like an ostrich.
Exactly. Try it out. That's something that you guys have right now that we didn't have. There's a lot of online possibilities to acquire knowledge, to try to test it. Mm-hmm. We couldn't.
Yep. All right. So that was a great way to end that segment. Now, I would love to tap into spirituality before we wrap up. So can we talk to our audience, the young and the olders, about spirituality and how it should affect both of them? Probably the same advice for both. Or what do you have for us?
There's a recommendation. As you know, I'm a licensed counselor. I have a master's degree in Logotherapy and Existential Analysis, which actually studies. It's the part of science of psychotherapy that actually studies and deals with the human soul.
Wow.
Yeah, the spirit, the soul. It's like
wow.
When we talk about spirituality, depending on your education, depending on your background, depending on your experience, you'll have a certain perspective or value of what is spiritual. For some, spiritual is religious. Fine, perfect. If that fits you, excellent. Perfect. If it doesn't fit you, then life, energy, whatever you understand as spiritual, as your soul, that will work. And let that guide you. When we talk about ancient or natural wisdom of America, of the Native Americans or other cultures, they had a special connection with the world around them, with life as life, with the force. May the force be with you. Mandalorian. That's the way. It's basically the same, and I recommend whoever wants to read the Hero with 1,000 Faces, because you'll find in all history of mankind there is something bigger, there is something larger than here.
Was that Joseph Conrad?
James Campbell.
Oh, Joseph Campbell. Okay.
Joseph Campbell. Yes.
Okay. The Hero with 1,000 Faces. Okay.
So it's they've prostituted a little bit. One of his books, the Hero's Journey. Oh, so that's why I say the Hero with 1,000 Faces, because
go back to the source.
It's go to the source. So yes, and you'll find there is this spirit, and whatever you believe is the spirit will guide you, will help you, and will nourish you. If we neglect that, it's like let's say a horse. You chop off one of his legs, he'll fall, or a standard table, 4 legs, or a chair, 4 legs, chop off one, and it won't work. And that's when that's what happens for a lot of people, when there's a lot of things that people don't understand what goes on within them, and they say, no, it's emotional, no, it's psychological, no, it's rational, no, it's spiritual. Once you consider that, then
some people don't consider that. They don't even believe they have a soul or anything.
Exactly. So, and that turns into a problem, because you cannot deny that there is energy.
Wow.
Energy. There's energy fields. There's vibrations. There is something that we can't yet explain.
Right.
Yeah.
So sometimes people, when they can't explain or can't understand something, they block it out.
They reject it.
They say, no, that doesn't exist.
Yes,
that's bullshit.
Exactly.
I mean, it exists. Accept it. Mm-hmm. And accept the fact. Yes, I can't explain it. I can't explain why, but I accept it. Okay, so cool. It's energy.
Yeah. Cool. Yep. And there's plenty of science to back it up.
And it's scientifically backed, but there's a field of energy around us.
Yes. And it's less strong on the brain side. It's stronger heart and the solar plexus.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
I like to tell people, or think of telling someone, if they challenge it, hey, go outside and go stare at someone and see if they don't turn around and stare exactly at you.
Yes.
They know that you're looking at them.
Somebody's looking at them. Yes.
That's a simple test to prove that there's a sixth sense.
They can feel if someone's looking. You can sense it.
So, and now you've all read or heard about The Secret, right?
Oh yeah. The law
of attraction. Yes. Mm-hmm. That's the easy part.
Yeah.
And that's why it doesn't work. It's the easy part. It's that everybody wants. Yeah, I want to attract abundance.
$1 million.
I want to attract richness. Yes, I want to attract. But how do they do it? How do they attract it? I want the lottery. So the law of attraction is the second of two. It's the law of projection.
Yeah.
Before I receive, before I attract,
I have to give out.
I have to project. Mm-hmm. And most people that attract the wrong way, what do? they project rejection.
Yes.
So instead of embracing and having, and it's like, come to me, come to me, come to me. It's like, go away, go away, go away. And that's the law of attraction.
It's so interesting the way that you worded everything right there, because I wasn't going to say this today. If we didn't have you for the interview, I was going to we do our normal, like you said, mental, physical, spiritual. And on one of the tips that I was going to do for the day was by Earl Nightingale, and it's his 4th rule of success. And it says, before a person can achieve the kind of life he wants, he must become that kind of individual. He must think, act, talk, walk, and conduct himself in all of his affairs as the person that he wishes to become. And it's just like you said, they want it to happen. They're like, oh, I want 1 million, but you have to step into that mentality.
You have to become that. You have to be that. And that's a big difference. A lot of people say, fake it till you make it. No, it's not fake it. You have to be that.
Yeah, mold yourself into who you want to be.
Not fake it. You have to feel it. You have to live it. And that's the energy. That's the feel. That's the true power. It's like, I'm not fake. I don't fake that I'm a millionaire. But when I leave the scarcity, it doesn't mean that I'm abundant in a materialistic way. Yeah. That means that I don't have those needs and desires that much anymore. It's like, well, I'm rich anyway. I don't care if I have 1 million or not, because I'm not doing it just for the millions.
Right.
We had another question come in by the same person. They asked us, would you let that spirit force dictate your decisions? And they say, like your gut feeling.
One thing is your gut feeling. That's when we have our basic emotions. It's like human beings. We're driven by our conscience, by what we are aware of, by our knowledge, by our emotions, and by our feelings. Now, the problem is that our feelings are our emotions mixed with our thoughts. Our thoughts are a result of our knowledge and our awareness. Now, the gut feeling, if you can distinguish a gut feeling from a primary emotion, fear, anger, there's a few other primary emotions. If you can distinguish that, then you can follow your intuition. Now, between gut feeling and intuition, you can develop your intuition.
I love that.
A sensor, like a radar, you can hone in, you can tune in, and that's your intuition.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I think I learned that the meaning of emotions is energy in motion. Motion, energy in motion. So if you think about your feeling, and I'm going to answer this to the person who asked that question. If you're thinking, that gut feeling is an emotion, be careful of your emotions, because your emotions can steer you in the wrong direction. So just accept that it's feelings that that are moving in your body. So be in tune with your body and acknowledge those feelings are energy that's passing through you, and then let that be an alert, right? We don't know what flag you're putting up. It might be a yellow flag or a red flag. It might be a white flag, to surrender at the moment, So just be alert and then make a logical decision to follow it, okay, based on the circumstances.
Yes. Because most people don't manage their emotions. They don't manage their thoughts.
They don't know how to react to them.
They don't get intimate with them. It's like, what is this feeling? What is this feeling trying to tell me?
Right.
Everything is communication. It's telling you something.
Yes.
Now, the thing is, am I listening really? Or do I think it's telling me this because I want that to be true? Remember when you fall in love and you play, she loves me, she doesn't love me? Now we'll try again. So it's like, am I really open to listen? Really?
Right.
It's like, we know thirst, hunger, those are needs. Remember when you're a young parent, it's very hard to understand what your kid your baby needs. And it's also very hard for the baby and for the younger kids. It's very hard for them to understand their own emotions. It's like, what is my body? Why am I feeling like
they just cry. They want attention.
Why am I feeling like this? It's like we become desperate because they don't understand their own feelings. So
right.
If we learn about our feelings, about our emotions, then we can understand them better. And then that means that we can make better decisions.
Right.
Hey Bernard, I have there's a saying in Spanish, and you being in Spain, you can appreciate this. There's a saying that I learned is "Si no llora, no mama."
See, if you don't cry, you don't suck on the tit. Yes.
If you don't cry, you don't eat.
Yeah, you don't get the breast. Yeah. It's like, if you want to be fed, you have to cry. That's the first thing the kids learn. I'm hungry. There you go.
It's pretty simple, right?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but see, now that's natural wisdom.
Yes.
And that's a response. And that's not just an impulse. It's like, he cries it because he knows, he has to draw attention towards it.
And if it worked the first time, it'll work the second time.
It's going to work again.
And the third, yes.
So to learn,
all of a sudden, it's like, the teeth are starting to come out and you have pain and you start to cry. And until the mom or the dad becomes aware that it's that, and it's not hunger, and it's not that the diapers are full, and it's pacifier dying. It's like, we learn a lot too. So then you react differently.
Yeah.
And for example, when you're in pain, you strain your ankle, and you know that pain is coming from that injury. You have a perfectly clear interpretation of that pain. Now, if all of a sudden you start to have pain in your chest or pain somewhere else, how do we interpret that? It's difficult. So the same thing happens with our emotions and with our feelings. We're not taught to analyze them, to think about them.
Right. Kobe Bryant said in an interview one time, speaking on this and like the mentality of being one of the best at basketball, becoming an elite player or an elite person at anything that you can do. He says that everything that he says is not just applicable to basketball, but to everything in life. And he said that with his mentality, when he is feeling his emotions, if it's a championship game or something, some people crack under pressure. He always says he tries to remain still with whatever emotion that he's feeling, and he tries to take himself out of the equation and observe it, because we can feel something, we can feel anger in one moment, but that doesn't necessarily make me an angry person every single day, just because something I might let it have upset me too much. So he said he tries to remain still, and he watches as the emotions come and go, like an ocean, like the tide, like the water just flows, and he lets it flow rather than being in that and just worrying too much about, he's super happy about one thing or too sad about another. He just tries to take a step back, and he remains calm and still on the inside, and he just watches as the emotions come and go.
It's emotions and thoughts. They both come and go. And there's one thing that you can always use for that. And that's sometimes when people talk about mindfulness. For me, mindfulness is absolute concentration on one thing. It's not absolute being relaxed. No, it's concentrate on what really matters. You're breathing. So when you're in a let's say in a combat situation, and bullets are flying around your head, and it's like you don't have time to think, you don't have time to feel.
Wow!
But if you control your breathing, you will start to control everything else. Because you stop whatever's happening. It's like a reset. Okay, pump shit now. Watch it go.
Yeah.
So, and that's see, John, that's for example for young entrepreneurs and for old entrepreneurs. When we face difficulties, and we will face them, we all face them. We build some scenarios in our minds. And the people that really make it are the ones that can shut them down. I say,
Wow.
it's not now. It's not now. There's no need getting upset about this because there's nothing I can do about it.
That's great advice.
I'll wait for tomorrow. I read a book, I think it was from Brian Tracy or somebody else. He also said, yeah, one of the managers that he worked with, he said, no, I don't have emergencies on the afternoons. They're off the schedule for the afternoon.
That's great. I love it. Turn off the emergency phone.
Unless the house is burning.
Right. That's an emergency.
It can wait till tomorrow.
That's right.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
It's if it's not a matter of life or death,
yeah.
Right.
don't make it a matter of life or death.
Right.
Because
Right.
there will be times when it will be kind of matter life or death.
Yeah.
But most people, it's like they make
They stress themselves out too much.
A big deal out of little things.
big deal out of something.
Yeah.
And that's why also when you work with the Eisenhower matrix, important, urgent, if everything is important and everything is urgent, that tool won't work.
Right.
It won't work because all of a sudden it's like in the 4 quadrants. Yeah, I have everything here. Oh my God. I said, yeah, it's like, yeah, what's about important and urgent about sweeping my floor right now when I don't have clients coming in? I can't wait.
I think that's great. That everything is
And it's a funny example, but your emails, for example.
Yeah.
I check my emails 2-3 times a day. That's it.
Yeah.
In the morning, maybe lunch, and at night. Period. I'm not. Oh yeah, If something is important, they will call me.
Right. I've got to respond.
Right.
To this. Hold on. You become a slave to your cell phone.
Yes, I have all my notifications. That's my best advice for any entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Turn the notifications off.
Yep. Don't get distracted by it.
Turn
It's
them
a
off.
major distractor.
Don't waste
You're
too much
the master.
time.
You are the owner of this. And
Don't let it own you.
beeps,
Right.
if it beeps, let it beep. Turn it off.
Yeah.
If you can't listen to that beep, turn it off.
Yeah.
I have
That's what I've done too.
my landline, my phone. It's turned off.
Yeah.
If it's urgent, if it's important, they will call me on my cell phone.
Yeah.
And people know that usually they don't call me. They send me a message and they know I read the message every once in a while. And if it's very important, urgent, they call me. And I look, if it's a number that I know, cool. If it's a number that I don't know, I said, you're not on my agenda. Sorry.
Yeah, right. Go to the voicemail and I'll
You're not scheduled to call me. I won't answer. It's my time.
Yep. Got to screen. I screen all my calls.
Yes.
Yep. Have to. Too many people are trying to get your attention.
And that's maybe for some other time for entrepreneurs. It's extremely important to see time management as life management. You can't manage time.
Wow.
You're managing your life.
That's great.
Right.
That hour that you and that's for the young people, that hour that you spend watching YouTube videos, enjoying
you don't get it back.
That's an hour that you just wasted.
Yeah, it's gone forever.
It's gone forever.
Yeah.
It's life.
Yeah.
So Bernhard, this has been so awesome, man. You've brought so much value to our listeners. I'm so glad we had somebody chime in and ask questions. You responded to them. Thank you so much for that. And where can people get more information from you? Where can they watch some of your videos?
YouTube. My name, Bernhard Schieber on YouTube. And then I have a link to my Existent I Am website.
I already have that in the show notes.
And there's one thing that is very important. I told you about Inovia.
Oh,
it almost sounds like girlfriend. Novia. In Spanish is before you get married. Your fiance, novia. Inovia. Behavioral health. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful project where we have 30 live facilitated groups per week. 30 groups, and they're growing. And we talk about just everything. Anything. It's like, So that's where you can find me. You can find me on Facebook with my name. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm more active on LinkedIn with my critical, reflexive publications more on LinkedIn. And I will be uploading more videos in English also on my YouTube channel.
Awesome. So do you have English and Spanish on YouTube?
Yes, Spanish. It's a lot of Spanish videos. Yes.
Okay, great. Great. Awesome. Bernhard, thank you so very much for being our guest. Man, this has been such a treat. And we look forward to having you again sometime in the near future.
Do a part two.
I'd love to. And I'll send you the remote control for this part of mine, so that whenever you want me to shut up, beep. You just
okay, stop. Never hitting that button.
Nice.
that remote control's out of batteries, my friend.
I felt I'm Duracell. I don't run out of batteries, man. I never run out of power.
That is awesome. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Pleased to meet you, Sebastian.
It was a pleasure to meet you too. This has been a great podcast, great episode. Everything. We're gonna have to do another episode, and then we're gonna have to keep it going. Part 3, part 4.
Whenever you want. I'm always up for it. So, John, just let me. If you have the link, this is going to be. It's live streamed, but is it going to be available then afterwards as well?
Yes, it'll be on YouTube. So I'll forward you the link as soon as we wrap this up. Okay.
Yes, cool. And as soon as I have the link, I'll share it. I'll share it also on LinkedIn.
We appreciate that very much. All right, my friends, thank you so much for joining us all tonight. And go out there and amplify your message.
I will. Right. Thank you, guys. My pleasure. Bye-bye.
See you guys next time.